national news.
Nigerian media to always place patriotism in the front burner in reporting fundamental issues that borders on sustainable national development. Guide towards implementing Green Alternative Roadmap submitted to the federal government. Monies taken as loan by the federal government will be channeled on reflating the economy, Minister assures international community. I'm delighted to have you join us on the news on NTA International. I'm Ifeanyi Okafor. And top on our news, media practitioners in the country have been challenged to always act in the spirit of patriotism and see themselves as critical partners in the task of addressing Nigeria's fundamental problems of corruption, security and economy for sustainable national development. President Muhammadu Buhari, who threw the challenge at the Leadership Award ceremony, promised that the doors of his administration will remain wide open to the media for inquiries in line with its transparency and anti-corruption posture. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
At the colorful event organized by the leadership newspapers to celebrate democracy, President Muhammadu Buhari, former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan represented, and former INEC Chairman Attahiru Jega jointly bagged the Persons of the Year award for immensely contributing to deepening democracy in Nigeria. According to the newspapers, President Buhari changed presidential politics in Nigeria forever by being the first to unseat a sitting president. His predecessor, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, in the spirit of sportsmanship, conceded defeat in the interest of the nation, while Attahiru Jega courageously made the votes of Nigerians count. There were 15 other award recipients for excelling in leadership, entrepreneurship, and other fields of endeavors.
I want to congratulate all award recipients and to thank them for their services to our country and to humanity.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who responded on their behalf, described the honor as a source of inspiration to redouble their commitment to the progress of democracy and development of the country.
The honor being done to us today is yet another public acknowledgement of our various roles and contributions towards the national rebirth and development of democracy in the country. Those of us who are participating actors in the election were led by the higher ideal of the future of our great country and the well-being of our people, rather than the mere desire of politicians to win elections.
He used the forum to commend the leadership newspapers for being in the forefront of promoting democracy and positive values towards achieving national consensus on the issues that tend to challenge the unity and progress of Nigeria.
We commend the leadership newspapers group and its publisher Sam Inda Asaya for standing firm on the path of patriotism, justice, and fairness. I expect the Nigerian media to join our government in pursuit of these goals, not just to criticize to prove their independence.
We have put our hands on the flag. Let us not look back or take the gains we have made for granted. Let us please ensure peace reign in our land, because if there is no peace, there will be no country.
Speaking on the theme, democracy, political transition, and the challenge of leadership in Africa, Governor Udom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom State takes pride in the fact that democracy has come to stay in Nigeria, but said efforts should be made by the citizenry to promote unifying tendencies as a people of common destiny and growth.
We are challenged by daunting economic and political problems, which are very surmountable. But we must all collectively resolve to work together. What we have is all we need to get to our desired destination.
He called on Nigerians to collectively give their support and prayers to the nation's leaders as they continue to take critical decisions and make choices on their behalf. In Abuja, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
On talking economic matters, Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, has reassured the international community that any money borrowed will be directed at meeting the nation's infrastructure development and growth of the economy. The minister stated this in response to the IMF alarm over raising global debt. Correspondent Cliff Ayose reports.
Global debt is at record high and rising. A survey of 130 nations, including Nigeria, put global debt of non-financial sector at $152 trillion as at 2015. About two-thirds, or 100 trillion naira, is the debt of the private sector, while the public sector increased from 70 to 85% in the last 15 years. The International Monetary Fund warns that high debt levels could lead to financial crisis if borrowed funds are not applied wisely.
One needs to have policies which are appropriate for now and will deliver stability, sustainable and inclusive growth from a long-term perspective.
Nigeria's 2017 budget projection of 6.9 trillion naira in an effort to redirect spending to capital expenditure. Low revenue from oil has made it imperative for Nigeria to borrow. With the International Monetary Fund acknowledging rising debt levels among nations of the world and the need to invest properly when funds are borrowed, what is Nigeria doing in that direction?
It's not a question of the quantum of debt, it's what did you use the debt for. We are borrowing now for infrastructure. If we borrow for a road that you have for 40 years, I don't think it's a problem. If I borrow to go for training, that's a problem. So I think we're being very conservative around our debt. We're trying to get the cheapest money possible, which is the multilateral agencies, and we'll be working very hard to make sure that those multilateral concessional funds come in first before we go to the Eurobond market, which is a little bit more expensive.
A comprehensive, consistent and coordinated approach in relation to monetary, fiscal and structural policies, the IMF says, remains the way forward. In Washington, D.C., Cliff Ayose, NTA News.
Away from the economy to agriculture, the Nigeria Agriculture Business Groups has submitted its findings on the major challenges affecting agricultural sector of the economy to the federal government. The findings, which is expected to serve as a guide towards implementation of the green alternative policy of the federal government, identified finance, input supply, pest and diseases as major challenges to be addressed. Musa Babaliu now reports.
The report identified the contributions of smallholder farmers to national food security and the need for government policy and programs to favor them. Access to capital through commercial banks and high interest rates, the report says, are beyond the farmers. Poor chain of input supply, rural roads, lack of stable price of produce at the informal commodity market are also parts of the identified challenges.
Look at the issue of our current borrowers and debt restructuring, incentive packaging, so that we will be able to activate and bring back to life a lot of the agro-processing industries that today are virtually almost at collapsing stage.
We need to link up between agric and agribusiness in order to determine the most effective and appropriate response.
Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Audu Ogbe, says major reforms that will address the constraints are underway.
Plans are in advance now for reforming the Agric Bank, which is in very weak position because they have a debt baggage of nearly 50 billion, some stretching back to 1983.
The minister also raised concerns over cases of kidnapping, cattle rustling, destruction of farms and plantations as a result of communal clashes, and appealed for collaboration with security agencies to contain the menace. In Abuja, Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government has set up a technical committee to tackle pastoralist farmers' conflict in the country. The committee, headed by the Director General, Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Professor Oshita, has the mandate to outline a tentative strategy to deal with the conflict using an open stakeholders forum. A statement from the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Interior, Alhaji Muhammadu Machido, also mandates the committee to identify the underlying causes of the conflict from regional and national perspective with a view to finding a lasting solution. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, says civil servants are the most effective tools the Nigerian government can harness to achieve its change agenda. She said this on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria program, which focused on activities of her office and benefits of the newly introduced Federal Integrated Staff Housing Program. Salih Abdullahi has the report.
The program highlighted issues of critical national interest, especially ongoing efforts to improve the welfare of civil servants for effective and quality service delivery. Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Winifred Oyoita, said the new civil service under her watch has developed strategies towards promoting efficiency and productivity, fighting corrupt practices, as well as encouraging citizens-centeredness within the civil service.
If you want somebody to perform well, the person has to be, well trained. So we are working on structured training, structured mandatory training for civil servants.
While urging civil servants and the relevant ministries, departments and agencies to develop entrepreneurial skills, Mrs. Oyoita urged relevant development partners, especially the civil servants, to key into the Federal Integrated Staff Housing Program, FISH for short.
So what's going to make the FISH houses on the FISH program attractive is that the land will be obtained with title at a much reduced cost because we are dealing directly with the government.
Other discussants on the program commended the housing initiative and explained what makes it different from similar programs in the past.
The earlier program, of course, is still on course, but slowed down because of funding. We will finance the mortgages. The FISH program, additional money to consider, to continue to produce the houses.
One very, very important aspect is that of collaboration. Under the FISH program, it's been worked out end-to-end where there's going to be active collaboration between the private and the public sector.
In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
And now to judicial matters, where efforts to drop a national policy on prosecution have continued, with the Minister of Justice meeting with State Commissioners of Justice in Abuja for the second time under the present administration. Femi Okeowo was part of the meeting and now reports.
In addition to drawing up a proposed national policy on prosecution, the joint meeting
I think that should be an offense. And that should be
of the Attorney General of the Federation and Attorneys General of states in Nigeria also intends to bring up a code of conduct and guidelines for prosecution, which before now is seen as staggered and uncoordinated. Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, says that a streamlined prosecution code in Nigeria will help develop a credible criminal justice system.
The need for the federal, states, and other stakeholders in the justice sector to continuously collaborate to promote the reform of the justice system cannot be overemphasized, as it remains a veritable tool to driving the reform of the justice sector and inspire public confidence in the system.
A few states have expressed fear that a national and uniform prosecution system will infringe on the autonomy of the states. But the meeting has ruled that fear is misplaced. The meeting is expected to come up with a communique which will form the basis of the draft. In Abuja, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
And on security, troops of Operation Lafia Dole have intercepted and neutralized a male suicide bomber on the outskirts of Maiduguri, Borno State. Acting Director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Sani Kukasheka Usman, in a statement says the terrorists attempted to infiltrate the troops' forward defense at Jidori General Area with heavy improvised explosive devices vests. The combined team of Nigerian Army and Nigeria Police Ordnance Device Safety detonated the IED-laden vest on the suicide bomber. You're watching NTA International News from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Stay on for more reports when we return after the break.
Hear the call of change, stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerula. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Great to have you back on the news on NTA International. The new Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, in Nigeria says it is adopting a new approach as well as strengthening partnerships towards speedy realization of its mandate. National Coordinator of NEPAD, Gloria Akobundu, who gave this indication at NEPAD headquarters in Abuja, also said the new approach will be in line with the federal government's agenda for change. Omotala Omojola reports.
Established over 15 years ago, NEPAD has the mandate of formulation and implementation policy framework for accelerating economic cooperation and integration among African countries. Nigerian NEPAD National Coordinator Gloria Akobundu, who is the agency's new boss, says she will consolidate on the achievements recorded so far while also evolving a new approach for greater impact on the welfare of the Nigerian.
NEPAD will work with the grassroots people, the women, the youths, the artisans. We need them all, the Nigerians. NEPAD is designed to uplift these lives and give them hope, to help these countries succeed in their security fight.
Gloria Akobundu says the main focus will be tackling poverty, supporting women empowerment and promoting national peace, as well as ensuring total implementation of NEPAD's mandate for Africa. A weekly publication is also being planned to enlighten the public on the activities of Bring NEPAD in Nigeria.
And now to arts and culture, as the need to seek employment outside government as well as build and sustain entrepreneurship resonate when a cross-section of Nigerians drawn from the public and private sectors gathered at the colloquium. Okwekpeyong reports that the event is in the spirit of the ongoing National Festival of Arts and Culture, NAFES 2016, holding in Uyo.
It is a widely held view that Nigerians are industrious people and are worth their salt in any chosen endeavor. This colloquium, however, focuses on telling participants some nuggets that will set the tone to get the spirit of entrepreneurship fired up and make them employers of labor outside government.
You have to think out of the box to be able to put food on the table for your family, and that is where my own idea of photography came out from. You know, it has to be more entrepreneurial than just being a photographer.
There is no bad business, there is no good business. All has changed is the mindset.
For participants, the colloquium is another eye-opener and tonic to set goals for wealth creation.
There's everything to achieve when you make up your mind to run.
I got so enlightened that it is not really about the money. It is not really about your background. It is not really about how much you have. It is about your determination, your passion.
The takeaway at this colloquium is that entrepreneurship should be a driving force for every Nigerian to stand out in whatever they can do to earn a living outside the dependence of government for employment. In Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, I am Okwekpeyong, NTA News.
Let's now join Muplang Dakok with financial matters on our business news.
On this segment, we begin with Nigeria has dropped 3 places to the 127th position from the initial 124th position on the latest World Economic Forum's Competitiveness Index for 2016 to 2017. Reports reveal that Nigeria is among the hardest hit by the reduction in commodity prices, almost entirely due to its weaker macroeconomic environment, which went down 27 places, and its financial sector, which went down 10 places. The cheering news is that Nigeria extended its gain against the dollar Thursday at the foreign exchange market. The currency, which exchanged at 304.2, gained about 6 points from 310.24 it exchanged Wednesday and 320.21 it recorded Tuesday. It also gained 2 points against the dollar at the parallel market. On the stock market, the Nigerian Stock Exchange All-Share Index closed on a positive note Thursday. With the market activity, we end this segment. Thanks for being part of business segment of the news. I am Muplang Dakok.
Incumbent president of Cape Verde, Jorge Carlos Fonseca, has been re-elected for another 5-year term. In the latest provisional result, Mr. Fonseca defeated his 2 other rivals by a landslide of 74%, representing 90% of the total votes cast. Correspondent Claire Adilabu Abdulrazak reports that President Fonseca also won all the diaspora votes.
The provisional result is posted on the website of NOSI, the National Online Election Result Collating Platform. The website also posted that 2 other independent candidates, a university rector, Albertino Gresha, polled 22.6%, while veteran politician and former key player in the country's fight for independence from Portugal, Joaquim Monteiro, scoring 3.4%. Although President Jorge Carlos Fonseca is said to be already celebrating his victory, the National Electoral Commission of Cabo Verde will make the results public in 10 days' time. Head of the ECOWAS Election Observer Mission, former President Boni Yayi of Benin Republic, described the election as remarkably free, fair and transparent. In a 17-page preliminary election declaration report, President Yayi said the election was a milestone in the consolidation of Cabo Verde's democracy.
Les autorités, le peuple capverdien, à poursuivre leur...
The mission encourages the authorities and people of Cabo Verde to sustain their efforts in strengthening the democratic culture that makes West Africa proud through respect for rule of law.
Now to reports from other parts of the world with Basi Itaikpang.
44 Afghan troops visiting the United States for military training are reportedly missing in less than 2 years. Report says the disappearances raise questions about security and screening procedures for the program. These U.S. defense officials say it is embarrassing to President Obama's administration. And at least 29 people, mostly rebels, have been killed in a bombing near Syria's border. Report says the border is mostly used by rebels to move from one area of northern city to another. The rebels were waiting to cross the border when the explosion happened. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights report says that the blast was either caused by a suicide bomber or a detonated bomb. Basi Taikbang, NTA News.
And on sports, Super Eagles intensify preparations for the Battle of Ndola as final group games of 2016 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup begins Friday. Kene Imabudike has details.
A brace by Arsenal player Alex Iwobi and a goal from Anderson Esiti of Ghent FC of Belgium gave Super Eagles 3-0 victory over Premier League club side Plateau United in a friendly match played at the main bowl of the Abuja National Stadium Wednesday. The match was put together to ascertain the fitness of the invited players for the 2018 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Zambia in Ndola on Sunday. 6 home-based and 17 foreign-based players took part in the friendly. After 2 days break from the ongoing FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in Jordan, action resumes on Friday as New Zealand entertained host Jordan in one of Group A final preliminary round matches. Meanwhile, on Saturday, Nigeria file out for a make-or-mar match against Korea Democratic People's Republic. Brazil entertained England. Japan battle United States of America as Paraguay confronts Ghana. Members of the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, ANAN, Thursday had a 10-kilometer walk and jog exercise along major streets of Abuja as part of activities to mark the 21st Annual Conference of Certified National Accountants. The Walk for Economic Diversification, which commenced from the International Conference Center, took participants through Sheikh Yaradua Federal Secretariat before terminating at the NTA headquarters in Gariki, where they were received by the NTA's Executive Director, Finance and Administration, Philip Ofebu.
We are always ready to help the federal government in seeing to it that the right thing is done.
Over 200 ANAN members participated in the exercise. With sports update, Keneng Imabodike, NTA News.
Well, now take a look at Friday's weather in Nigeria and some cities of the world. Now to end the news, a recap of top stories. The Nigerian media is being reminded to always place patriotism in the front burner in reporting fundamental issues that bother on sustainable national development. The guide towards implementing the agricultural roadmap, Green Alternative, has been submitted to the federal government. We also told you that the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, has assured the international community that monies taken as loan by the federal government will be channeled to reflating the economy. And that concludes the news on NTA International. I am Ifeanyi Okafor. Thanks for watching.